Hello and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 4 transfer deal sheet with me, Holly Shand, where I'm going to pick out a player in each position that you should buy, monitor and sell. Help me get this one to 500 likes and subscribe to the channel too. Heading for 25k subs before the Gameweek 4 deadline. Let's get into it. Starting off with defenders then, and on the buy list is Destiny Udogie, Spurs wingback, who is in less than 10% of teams, but his ownership is rapidly increasing. He's the fourth most bought player going into Game Week 4 with 225,000 transfers in. We saw him hobble off with a bit of a knock in Game Week 3, but the word is that he's absolutely fine, and he's among the top attacking defenders in the game right now. Plus, he's got great fixtures. He's got Burnley away and Sheffield United at home up next. He's third among defenders for expected assists with 1.98. He's already had one big chance on goal himself, and he's fifth among defenders for final third passes with 46, which just shows you his attacking promise. On the monitor list is Chelsea's Gusto. 4.1 million, he's already seen a price rise. His ownership's going up as well. He's the second most bought in player for Game Week 4. 350,000 transfers in. His ownership just about remains under 10%. Now, he's on the monitor list rather than the buy list for a few reasons for me. First of all, Chelsea's fixtures are phenomenal. Forest at home, Bournemouth away, Aston Villa at home the next three. Is he in the top three Chelsea players to own now for that run of games? I'm not sure. I'm also not convinced by his attacking threat. I know he got 2 assists, fantastic score in Game Week 3, but he only created 2 key passes, 1 big chance created among that. An element of luck in there. Certainly Sterling's first goal, he kind of created that all by himself. Gusto didn't really deserve the assist, but that link-up play with Sterling, if Sterling's in form, it could draw Gusto in to become a great option as well. When Reece James is back though, Gusto will lose his place, and then you're stuck with a bench player that's not getting minutes, that's blocking a more exciting attacking Chelsea triple up. So that's just something to bear in mind. I think he's fine to buy. If you're on a wild card though, you need to know the risks of having an exit strategy for when James does come back in. But with the fixtures being so great, I think he's probably a decent bet going forward anyway. On the sell list though is Arsenal's Gabriel. Now, we've given him as owners too many weeks to try and prove his worth, but he's so far down the pecking order in Arsenal's defence right now. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think there's any chance of him coming good now. He's maybe not a priority to sell this week if your bench defenders have decent fixtures. You could just drop him to the bench because it could be quite valuable to use transfers elsewhere or carry 2 free transfers for the other side of the international break. But he is a player that's going to drop in price again. He's already gone from 5 to 4.9. I don't think it'll be too long before he's 4.8 either. And I think when you've got a ready-made replacement in Udogie, it's quite easy to make the swap and sell. Moving into midfield then, and on the buy list, the third most transferred in player this week, the second most popular midfielder is James Maddison. 300,000 transfers in. Well done to everyone that stayed patient with injury news, because he absolutely came good in Game Week 3, definitely for my team. He's in 15.9% of teams, but that ownership is rapidly going up, already risen in price once. The fixtures remain great for Spurs over the next two promoted teams in Burnley and Sheffield United, so it feels like a good time to buy. And while I expect some will probably be on penalties, Maddison's in with a shout and he's absolutely dominating other set pieces. His underlying numbers phenomenal as well. He's second for crosses among all players with 25. Top for penalty area entries with 41. We saw that come to the fore with his goal in Game Week 3. 9 key passes, 7 shots in the box. There are so many routes to points for Maddison, and with those 2 fixtures coming up, he cannot blank in those. He's a must-buy for me. On the monitor list, another player that's impressed since getting his move to West Ham is James Ward-Prowse, the third most transferred in midfielder now with 150,000 transfers in. The only reason he's not on the buy list is the fixtures. Luton away in Game Week 4 is a great one, but then it's City at home and Liverpool away, which is a mixed bag, but given Ward-Prowse's route to points, he could prevail in those fixtures anyway. Certainly Liverpool away. Liverpool's defence is looking shaky at the moment. And at 6 million, you could pick him up if you've got, you know, plenty of funds available and opt to bench him for those trickier games if you wanted to. He's dominating set pieces. He may well be on penalties for West Ham as well. Something that they've struggled with over the last few seasons is converting from the spot. So that's one to keep an eye on as well. And he was underpriced coming into the game at 6 million. That was quite obvious. His ownership's increasing. His value will rise soon, but he could still be absolute gold and an absolute steal with 1 goal and 2 assists in his first 2 games for the Hammers. On the sell list, though, is Manchester United's Marcus Rashford. He's the 3rd most sold player going into game week 4, the most sold midfielder with 150,000 transfers out. Now, he did deliver in game week 3, so well done those of you that stayed patient. But I'm just not convinced by him as a fantasy asset going forward, foremostly because he's not the best United midfielder to own for a start. That quite clearly is Bruno Fernandes, and with his positioning still questionable, Rasmus Højlund not in the side yet, I think now is a good time to sell with Arsenal away and Brighton at home up next. 2 tricky fixtures. And then if you want to get back on the United midfielder in a couple of weeks with Burnley away, you could move to Fernandes. Perhaps you own both already and Rashford's the easier sell. And he's a cash cow if you need to unlock funds elsewhere. Perhaps you started the season with João Pedro struggling to upgrade him. Perhaps you're a Salah owner and because you've got 2 premiums, the cash in your side is a little bit tighter than most. So 9 shots, 4 key passes, they're okay returns, but for a player of his calibre and his price tag, remember he's like the 3rd most expensive player in the game available to us right now behind Haaland and Salah. He's not justifying that price tag right now. Moving on to forwards then, and on the buy list is Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson, the 2nd most transferred in forward this week. 100k transfers in. I wasn't that bullish on him last week, but now he's got that first goal for Chelsea and he's off the mark. I think he could really thrive with these upcoming fixtures. Forest at home, Bournemouth away, Aston Villa at home, and the longer term fixture run looks just as good as well. I think he's a confidence player. It's a huge boost to get that first goal. And he's got an outside chance of being on penalties as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. The underlying numbers for him are fantastic. He's had 10 shots in the box, which ranks him 4th of all players. And he's now top for big chances with 5. Only 1 goal from here, but I think he will push on given that run of fixtures. On the monitor list, a player I owe a huge apology to is Liverpool's Darwin Núñez, who's now the 6th most transferred in forward for game week 4, 50,000 transfers in. My logic for selling him was his minutes, and we saw again in game week 3 he was on the bench, but what a performance. Perhaps his best performance in a Liverpool shirt to come on 1-0 down against Newcastle, 10 men, and he bags a brace to win the game for the Reds. So he absolutely could deserve to start now in Jurgen Klopp's side, and as a player that struggled all of last season with his conversions, to have 2 goals from 2 shots on target, that's going to do a wonder for his confidence. We're still monitoring the situation at Liverpool with rumours that Mo Salah could be out the door with a move to Saudi, which would leave less competition for places in Liverpool's attack. And the fixtures are on the up now they've got the Newcastle game out of the way. There's certainly hope with Aston Villa at home, Wolves away and West Ham at home that we can start to see some consistent returns from Darwin Núñez. So I wouldn't buy him this week, monitor him, but if he gets a start in game week 4 after the international break, he could be one to watch. Just 7.3 million now as well. On the sell list, though, is Brighton's João Pedro, the 4th most sold player going into game week 4, the most sold forward, 150k transfers out. And that's because in the last 2 game weeks, he's been a substitute. He's played just 63 minutes across 2 fixtures, 3 shots, none of them on target. De Zerbi, he's in the bad books with him, and I don't think that's going to improve anytime soon. He's out of favour now. He's a difficult player to replace because of 5.5 million. It doesn't leave you with many places to go. Edouard probably looks like the best direct swap, but I think finding funds elsewhere if you can to get Jackson in is the key transfer move to make this week. Brighton's fixtures turn as well now. Newcastle at home, Manchester United away, the next 2 fixtures. I think it's absolutely fine to let go of him now. Here's the transfer deal sheet in full then for FPL Game Week 4. Remember, I respond to all of your comments, so any dilemmas that you've got, get in the comments and make sure that you're liking this video. Let's get it to 500 likes and help me get to 25k subscribers as well, which would be a huge milestone for the channel. Thank you for watching.